Looking for the perfect happy hour to unwind after a long day at work? Look no further than Walter's Indoor-Outdoor Happy Hour, catering to everyone who lives in and around Navy Yard. $5 happy hour options include salmon sliders and house red wine.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Here it comes. Swinging a ground ball up the middle. That's going to be a base hit into center field. O'Hearn lumbering around third. He'll score the go-ahead run. And the Orioles lead for the first time in the series. 2-1 Baltimore. Mullins on the ninth pitch of the at-bat. Grounds a single through the middle for his 20th RBI. Bautista brings the glove to the bell. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He deals. Swinging a ground ball up the middle. Henderson has it behind the bag. Throws to first in time for the out. And the Orioles take Game 3 of the series and avoid being swept.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals on Thursday evening did not complete a 3-game sweep of the Orioles at Nationals Park, but the Nats did conclude an extremely well-pitched series. A 2-1 loss to the O's. So the Nats in the regular season now 11-14. The Nats over the 3 games in this series allowed a mere 5 runs. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Window Nation. Call Window Nation 866-90Nation to learn more about Window Nation's Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 free Windows offer. Pay nothing till 2027. The offer is good now through April 30th. So as bad as the Nats bullpen has been, the team starting pitching has been quite good. The Nats for this regular season now have a starting pitching ERA of 3.53. MacKenzie Gore on Thursday evening, terrific yet again. The bullpen actually was good as well. Just very little offense. It's funny with the Nats. At times, they look great offensively, but other times, quite bad. The Nats, over their last 4 losses, have totaled just 3 runs. Mark, I guess when this team doesn't hit, it really doesn't hit.
It's kind of been all or nothing, Al, and especially against lefty starters, they are not doing much. And I don't think I quite appreciated how dramatic the difference is. The OPS versus righties and lefties is more than 100 points. They're 25th in the majors against lefties and 15th against righties. So that's been an issue. And certainly, I mean, they didn't make Cade Povich work hardly at all in this game. Now, some of that, they are a lefty-heavy lineup in some ways. The bigger name guys mostly bat left-handed. But I'd like to see them work the count a little more against some of these guys. There were some quick outs. It's another one of these games where they only draw 1 walk, and it's not even like there's a lot of 3-ball counts either. I feel like that's been a consistent theme in the games they have not won. There usually are not walks involved in it. Obviously, they didn't hit the ball out of the park, which we know when things are going well, it does. But you got to find other ways to score runs. And it felt like they got that first run in the second inning, and they didn't put up much of a fight otherwise after that at the plate. You do believe that there's enough in this lineup that it can be productive, but it's really inconsistent here so far.
And the Cade Povich, against whom the Nats struggled on Thursday evening, came into the game with an ERA of 6.38, a whip of 2.07 over 4 starts in this regular season. But Povich on Thursday evening, 1 run, 6 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. The Nats, offensively speaking, for the game, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. The 5 hits, a double and 4 singles. The run came on an RBI single by Josh Bell. Now, you mentioned a lack of working counts. So C.J. Abrams is back. The Nats on Thursday afternoon announced having activated shortstop C.J. Abrams from the 10-day injured list. He'd been on that since April 12th due to a right hip flexor strain. The corresponding roster move was the Nats optioning infielder Trey Lipscomb to AAA Rochester. Abrams on Thursday evening as the Nats starting shortstop and number one batter went 0 for 4. James Wood, who, as we have discussed, had been thriving in the number one spot. He got bumped down to the number 3 spot. He is the Nats starting left fielder, went 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. It really stood out to me. Nats manager Davey Martinez during his postgame press conference on Thursday night complimenting C.J. Abrams, but making it a point to say that Abrams needs to draw his walks, needs to take his walks.
As I always say, in certain situations, he's got to be able to accept his walks. He loves to swing. We want him to swing, but we want him also to play the game the right way. Sometimes you just got to accept your walks.
Off what James Wood has been doing in the number one spot, off there perhaps being a shorter leash than normal with Abrams in that number one spot, given that Wood was doing so well, I found those comments from Davey interesting.
Yeah, I think the least surprising thing that happened in this game was the fact that Abrams swung at the first pitch he saw in the first inning and popped it up to shallow left field. I understand when he makes good contact, you say, hey, great job ambushing the first pitch, but it almost felt like a given that he was going to go after the very first pitch he saw. I think the bigger surprise is that Povich actually gave him something over the plate. Kind of knowing the reputation, you would have thought maybe here comes a breaking ball down and away or something like that. So, yeah, if he is going to hold down that leadoff spot, especially knowing who the guys are behind him in the lineup and the abilities that they have, he's got to find a way to get on base, whatever that takes. That can be with hits. That's great. But if not, you do have to understand how to work the count, how to draw the occasional walk. It's really not his strongest suit. But we have seen when he's gone well, he gets on base at a high clip. And I think that's going to be something to really monitor here. You understand it's the first game back. He's going to be anxious, a little jumpy. I'm not excusing it, but you kind of understand why he may have been that way in this game. But now that he got this one under his belt, let's see a better approach next time and find a way to get on, because right now there's nothing more dangerous than James Wood at the bat with the runner on base.
It's funny with what is the composition of an ideal number one batter in today's MLB? I mean, historically speaking, right, it's a guy who gets on base, not necessarily a guy who hits for power. As time has gone on, that profile has evolved to now a lot of teams bat just plain good hitters in number one spots, right? Like the Dodgers with Shohei Ohtani. C.J. Abrams is a good hitter, so him batting in the number one spot, there is justification for it. I think what's interesting, though, is that normally when someone is a good hitter, that also includes that person having at least a decent on-base percentage, that person being good at getting on base. It's not like Abrams is terrible at getting on base, but he doesn't draw a lot of walks. Now, maybe as he matures as a batter, that'll change, but he is one of those guys, and I remember Trey Turner sort of had this going for him, where overall good hitter, but not that prototypical number one batter, even though he's in the number one spot, and that the guy doesn't draw a ton of walks. And so if you're doing the other things, if you're getting your hits and you're hitting for power, then you can live with a leadoff hitter who's not drawing walks. The problem, of course, is when the guy doesn't hit. And as we saw with Abrams last season, he was so up and down when he wasn't drawing walks that was particularly painful. This season, so far when he's been healthy, he's been a lot better. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does overall, but specifically in this number one spot, is this a setup that does work, or do we eventually see Abrams drop down to say the number 3 spot and James Wood elevated back to that number 1 spot?
Yeah, it's an intriguing option either way. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I think you kind of have to see what works and what doesn't. And once you figure it out, you run with that. You can go into this with a plan. And I know in their minds, they loved the idea of Abrams, Cruz, Wood, 1, 2, 3. And it may still get there at some point. Obviously, Cruz's struggles have pushed him down in the lineup, and Wood's success gets him, as high up as you can afford to do, and including the leadoff spot when Abrams was down. I don't think anybody ever truly looked at James Wood as an ideal leadoff hitter for them, but they kind of did it out of necessity for the last week. So I think there's the numbers part of it. I think there's also this element. C.J. Abrams has kind of been treated as this team's leadoff hitter since July of 2023 when they finally moved him up there. And more than not, he's been very effective. And I think there is a little bit of a sense of if you take him out of that spot, not necessarily for performance, but just kind of lost the job because of injury or because you think James Wood can do more for you? Do you risk doing something to CJ that is going to make him less productive? It's almost like you take some of that swagger away from him. I think he feels like he is a top of the order hitter. That's who he's supposed to be. And as long as he's producing to some extent, I think it's worth keeping him there. Let's also point out that James Wood, while effective there, admitted that he's still not totally comfortable and doesn't really think of himself in those terms either. So I think you stick with this, you give it a shot, Abrams won, but understanding that the leash isn't going to be incredibly long. And at some point, you do have to prove that you're doing all the things you need a leadoff hitter to do.
Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation, which has a gift for Nats Chat podcast listeners that's as good as any James Wood home run. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. This offer is good through April 30th, so hurry. Schedule your free estimate at 866-90Nation or windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. There's no limit to how much you can save, and if you buy a house full of windows, Window Nation will include a free entry door. Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then Window Nation passes the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows that you can buy at a fraction of the price of other brands, and you'll increase the value of your home. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. The offer is good through April 30th. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Just in, and so good. Thousands of spring finds up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of fresh reasons to rack.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas? Why do we rack? For the hottest deals.
Save on Madewell, Vince, Kate Spade New York, Sam Edelman, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Gore into the wind. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. And down goes Henderson. Gore with strikeout number 7. Again, the major league leader now with 52 strikeouts. And this is 6th start of the year.
So the Nats offense in this 2-1 loss to the Orioles at Nationals Park on Thursday evening, not good. But the Nats pitching in this game was really good. And the Nats got another terrific outing from MacKenzie Gore. Gore allowed 2 runs in 6 innings with 8 strikeouts versus 1 walk. Gave up just 4 hits, which were a double and 3 singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 99 pitches, 66 strikes versus 33 balls. And you look at MacKenzie Gore now, he's going from, 1 good start, 1 not so good start, to now just having good starts. Gore, for this regular season, 6 starts, ERA of 3.34, whip of 1.14, strikeouts per 9 innings, 13.63. That is number 1 among all qualified pitchers in the majors. MacKenzie Gore has been especially dominant. The strikeouts have been awesome, and the run prevention is matching that, and it is hard to have any real dissatisfaction with what the Nats are getting from MacKenzie Gore right now.
Here's what stands out to me. You're talking about a start in which he gives up 2 runs over 6 innings, strikes out 8, walks 1. And you're saying, all right, that was good. you're not like, wow, what an incredible start for him, because he's had several better ones already, 13 strikeout games. That shows you how far he's come and how high he's already setting the bar, in which what would, over the last several years, no matter who it was, we would say, what an outstanding start that is from the Nationals pitcher. And this is just kind of good. That shows you that he really has established himself now as a number one guy, where you kind of expecting double-digit strikeouts every time out. And when he doesn't get there, it almost feels like a letdown in some way, even though there's nothing to be let down about the way he pitched in this game. He pitched excellent. And really, it's just a couple of batters in the fifth inning, some of it his fault, some of it not, that cost him the game. And it's a shame that the record is 2-3. It's been a lack of run support and in some cases some bad bullpen work behind him. But he has absolutely stepped up so far and looked like a legit number one starter who leads the majors in strikeouts, is giving them 6 innings every time out, and is limiting the damage even when he's maybe not at 100%.
The Nats' best starting pitcher this season has been Mitchell Parker. I think it's hard to argue otherwise. But when you talk about process, the Nats' best starting pitcher has been MacKenzie Gore. Parker has been really good in terms of run prevention, but with Gore, the strikeouts, they just like smack you across the face. I mentioned him leading the majors in strikeouts per 9 innings. He also leads the majors just in raw strikeouts, 53. MacKenzie Gore has nearly double the number of strikeouts of the Nats' next best pitcher in terms of strikeouts, Jake Irvin at 27. Irvin, 27 strikeouts, Gore, 53. Just to give you an idea of the extent to which Gore is racking up strikeouts, and also the degree to which the Nats, don't really have other great strikeout pitchers on the pitching staff. But, when we talk about upside with a pitcher, so much of that is about, does he have swing and miss stuff? Does he miss bats? MacKenzie Gore misses bats, and to see that translate to him having really a dominant season so far in terms of the strikeout, just awesome to see.
And he's combining that with strike throwing. He's only got 9 walks now in 35 innings. That's 1 per 5. That's a walk rate of 2.0, way down from his career norm. I think like the only negative right now, and I don't know what you can really do about it, he gives up a lot of foul balls. I remember Max Scherzer, that was the case. It's often the case with a guy who has such good stuff that hitters can maybe get the bat on the ball but can't put it into play. And so it does drive up the pitch count a little bit, and it made it so he wasn't going to be able to go more than 6 innings in this one. That's nitpicking. That's a small thing. If you can strike out batters at this rate, walk batters at such a low rate as he is, that's a great combination, and it's going to lead to a lot more success for him this year.
And the low walk rate for him is also encouraging from a standpoint of last year. As you recall, he was one of the worst pitchers in the majors in terms of whip. Gore put a lot of guys on base last season. He's not doing that this season. That whip is at 1.14. The Nats bullpen in this 2-1 loss to the O's at Nationals Park on Thursday evening, very good. Let's let that sink in. The Nats bullpen in a game in the year 2025 was very good. 2 Nats relievers combined for 3 scoreless and hitless innings with 5 strikeouts. Nice to see that. Jose A. Ferrer, who, when he's bad, it's rough. When he's good, it's impressive and encouraging. He was good. He tossed a perfect top of the 7th. But I think the takeaway for most people coming out of this game with the Nats bullpen is Cole Henry. He tossed 2 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts. He tossed a scoreless top of the 8th with 3 strikeouts, despite issuing a leadoff hit by pitch, a pinch hitter, Jackson Holliday, and yet another instance of the Nats bullpen issuing a hit by pitch. And also Henry in that inning issued a 2-out intentional walk of Gunnar Henderson. But Henry tossed a perfect top of the 9th inning. Cole Henry over the first 4 games of his Major League regular season career, 4 2/3 innings, 0 runs, 8 strikeouts, versus 1 walk. You asked Davey Martinez during his postgame presser about Cole Henry. In a bullpen that is just starving for someone to emerge and to be good. Kyle Finnegan's been good, but beyond that, nobody else really has been good. Maybe, just maybe, Cole Henry can help to get this bullpen on track.
I think the most telling thing is not just the results, but the fact he did it in a 1-run game and that he was given the opportunity to pitch the final 2 innings in a 1-run game. We'll see where it goes from here, but I could see him stepping into that top right-handed setup man role. That's very limited sample. It's 4 games that he's pitched in his big league career. And let's remember, this is somebody who not just was a starter in the minor leagues, but an injured starter, some pretty serious injuries. He just has not thrown that much as a professional to begin with. So they do have to watch him carefully. Can he take on a full reliever's workload where you're asking for back-to-back games and 3 out of 4, that kind of stuff? They aren't really sure of that yet. Now, he said afterwards that so far his arm has responded well to the new kind of workload. He's really embracing this. He's enjoyed it. I mean, he's faced 18 batters in the big leagues and struck out 8 of them. That curveball has been devastating. He's got a good fastball with life. He looks the part of a legit, high leverage reliever. And it's small and we're not seeing a lot of it. And we still have to really get a sense of how he does consistently in big spots late in games. And can he come back and do it the next time and all that kind of stuff. But the early returns are really encouraging. And boy, wouldn't that be something after all the angst over guys like Jorge Lopez and Lucas Sims, and who are they going to have to trust? Maybe it's the guy who didn't even make the team out of spring training, the guy who's just learning how to be a reliever for the first time, who steps into that role.
So we know how it is with relievers, right? Most of them are failed starters. Now with Henry, I don't know that the word failed is necessarily apropos. It's more a function of injury that he went from being a starting pitcher to a relief pitcher. But he at one time was a very promising starting pitching prospect. But he in August 2022 underwent surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. As you may recall, that happened shortly after Steven Strasburg underwent his surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. And it was also around that time that a reliever for the Nats at the time, Will Harris, underwent surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. So there was this epidemic of TOS really just infiltrating the Nats at that time. Henry, though, is young enough to where he has been able to come back from surgery for TOS. That's not the norm, but when you're a younger guy like Henry, you can do it. Good for him for doing that. And, like you said, it's a small sample size, but so far, you're encouraged by what he's doing. 8 strikeouts versus 1 walk, that plays. There's a fearlessness with him out there, which is awesome to see, right? How many times have we seen Nats relievers this season pitch around batters and issue walks and issue hit by pitches, right? With Henry, you're getting strikeouts, so that's been good. And, you think about this realistically with this bullpen. It's been so bad that if it's going to get better, chances are it's going to be with some guys emerging who aren't on the team now or weren't on the team to begin the regular season, right? So someone like a Cole Henry, maybe someone like a Jackson Rutledge. Rutledge hasn't been great, but he actually has been okay. Maybe a couple of guys who were supposed to be starters who now are relievers end up helping to put this bullpen in a better place. It's hard to believe that the bullpen is going to continue to be as bad as it has been, right? You'd like to think that there's going to be some improvement here. There's going to be, we've heard the phrase regression to the mean, perhaps progression to the mean with this bullpen. And maybe a guy like Henry and, maybe a guy like Jackson Rutledge can be a part of the solution. So I'm encouraged by what we're seeing from Cole Henry and obviously just need to see more.
Well, let's also point this out. You kind of mentioned the history there with him. He's not some no-name who's come out of nowhere. I mean, he was a highly touted starter out of LSU who looked like he was pretty close to big league ready in the summer of 2022. We were kind of monitoring his outings in the minors and thinking we might see this guy here within the next month or so until the shoulder acted up on him. And the next thing you know, he's out for the year and having the thoracic outlet surgery. And it really disrupted his whole career path at that point. But he was highly touted from the beginning. And maybe it doesn't come as a starter, but if they ultimately get a quality late inning reliever out of that, that's still a fantastic development. And truthfully, the kind of development that most teams get over the years. Drafting a pitcher high up who doesn't make it as a starter, but does make it as a good reliever, as an in-house, developed within your own system reliever, that's a great thing to have. And it's the kind of thing they have not done enough of over the years. So let's pump the brakes a little bit. There's a lot still for him to prove, but what we've seen so far is highly encouraging.
And if he is a legit strikeout pitcher, that's another very encouraging thing because the Nats don't have enough of those in their bullpen. Relievers who pile up strikeouts. Maybe Henry is, in fact, one of those guys.
LinkedIn Jobs is here to help small business owners with that crucial step of making the right hires. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates you can manage all in one place. Here's how it works. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. You can either post your job for free or pay to promote it, and promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified candidates. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
And now, two pigeons who can't believe how good humans have it with DirecTV.
These humans are hopping from streaming apps to live sports without batting a wing.
All from the DirecTV home screen.
With just one click, you could be watching a baseball game, a movie on Netflix,
or a critically acclaimed documentary.
You watch documentaries?
I love the ones that leave you with a question.
What?
Exactly.
DirecTV, a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. Visit DirecTV.com. Internet connected Gemini device, separate Netflix membership, and additional paid subscriptions required for third-party apps. Restrictions apply.
Here's the pitch. Swing a line drive left side. Diving catch, C.J. Abrams to his backhand. Oh, and a play by C.J. robbing Mateo a base hit with a spectacular diving backhanded catch.
So the Nats don't get the sweep, do win the series, and next up comes a big series, a 4-game series against the Major League leading New York Mets at Nationals Park, Friday through Monday. The Nats in the series will be starting Jake Irvin, Brad Lord, Mitchell Parker, and Trevor Williams. The Mets are off to some start. The Mets have the best record in the majors at 18-7. The Mets have won 7 consecutive games, and the Mets are number 1 in the majors in team ERA, 2.34. So, it's one thing to have offensive success against, the Colorado Rockies and the Baltimore Orioles. This is going to be a real test for this Nats offense, how the Nats do against this Mets pitching staff, which so far has been superb.
And surprisingly superb. I think we all knew the Mets were going to score a lot of runs, given who they've got and who they've added to their lineup. The question all along was, do they have enough pitching, especially in the rotation? Because they didn't go out and spend a whole lot in that regard. And they're kind of signing these veterans to shorter term deals. It's worked out phenomenally for them so far. We'll see if it holds up or not. But yeah, this is a real challenge for the Nationals in a 4-game series. Potentially the biggest test they faced so far, maybe even more so than the Dodgers, just because the Dodgers haven't played as well as we all think that they should, and they've had injuries. Let's see how they hold up to this. Let's see if they can put together longer at-bats, draw some walks, get production now from, pretty much all the big names they have out there. I mean, I know it didn't produce a whole lot on Thursday night, but you just look at the names they had in that lineup, that looked like a more imposing lineup than we've seen here in a little while. When you've got Josh Bell, Dylan Cruz, and Luis Garcia batting 7, 8, 9, it's a little unconventional, but those are some prominent names that you have at the bottom of your order, at least against a lefty. There is potential with this lineup. We've seen it. It just has not happened consistently. Can they do it against good quality pitching they see this weekend? I think it's a good test for them.
And, it's so early, right? So to get sucked into what the standings look like, you almost feel silly. But the National League East right now is the Mets and then everybody else. The Mets are the only team in the division with a positive run differential for this regular season. And the Nats really are part of a mix in terms of teams 2 through 5 in the division. The Nats at 11-14. You look at the second place team, the Philadelphia Phillies, 13-12. So it's like beyond the Mets, no one else is really doing that well in the division so far. So if the Nats can, say, split this 4-game set and continue to do well as April closes out and we get into May, the Nats are in the mix here in the division. We'll see if the Mets run away with things. I'm not convinced of that. The Mets have a history of getting off to great starts and then kind of fading, so let's see what happens. But it's interesting to me what the division looks like right now. We thought it might be Mets, Phillies, Braves in some order, and then a big gap, and then you get to the Nats and Miami Marlins. That's not what the division is so far.
No, what you've had is the Phillies have been ice cold here lately and just got swept by the Mets. The Braves have been an absolute disaster. Combination of injuries, lack of hitting, you name it. Things are once again going really wrong for them. And there's genuine concern there about whether they can get it back together. And then the Marlins, who everybody wrote off, myself included, as one of the worst teams in baseball, they've held their own so far, and they're hanging around the 500 mark. And so you do have this kind of odd bunching up of teams there from 2 to 5. Can the Nats hang with them all? It's been such an issue the last couple of years, especially the Mets and Phillies. They have not even just played competitive baseball against those teams. If they want to be serious about this, they want to be a team that can threaten 500, they're going to have to hold their own at least against a team like the New York Mets. Let's see if you can get the kind of starting pitching they've been getting, if you can get a little more consistent offense, and then just hope the bullpen pieces it together there at the end. We may have some fun this weekend.
CJ Abrams is back. Did want to update people on Paul DeJong. He has been on the 10-day injured list since April 16th due to a fractured nose that he suffered in the Nats 3-0 win at the Pittsburgh Pirates on April 15th. And you got an update on Paul DeJong on Thursday, right?
Yeah, they had to wait for a while for the swelling around his eye to go down. He finally saw an eye specialist. And the good news there is they didn't find any kind of damage there. That's always the fear of like vision problems. And it does look like everything's going to be okay there. He does, however, need surgery to repair the fractured nose. Not a huge surprise. I guess if he was a hockey player, he'd just go right back out there the next period and have a schnoz that's all bent out of shape. We don't really have a timetable for him. That's a tough thing to come back from. And when he does come back, there's a psychological element to it as well. Getting back in the batter's box, facing a fastball again, I can only imagine what that must be like for somebody who took a pitch to the face to that extent. But all things considered, it sounds like, it's not as bad as it could have been from a really frightening incident. And let me just mention one other injured guy on a rehab assignment. Cade Cavalli pitched for Harrisburg on Thursday, 5 scoreless for him. So that's 2 rehab starts now, 1 at Fredericksburg, 1 at Harrisburg. So far, so good. As we've said, this is a 2-step process with him. Number 1, it's proving that he's healthy enough to pitch every 5 days. And then number 2, it's proving that he can be effective pitching every 5 days. So far, so good on both counts. Got a long way to go. Eventually, we'll probably see him at the AAA level. Can he continue to have success there? Stay healthy? If so, we'll start the countdown clock to maybe seeing him back.
You think before the All-Star break? Is that realistic?
If everything goes according to plan, I think they are hoping for sometime in June. Would be my guess, knowing what his innings limit is and all that. But plenty more steps. We've been teased, unfortunately, by Cade Cavalli a little bit over the last couple of years, so I don't want to get too excited by it. But all the reports are that he's number 1 healthy, and then now to see good positive results in competitive games, even in the minor leagues, that matters. It's not like he's just going through the motions and, well, hey, he didn't pitch well, but at least he felt good. No, it looks like he both feels good and is having success.
Good to hear that. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Window Nation. Call Window Nation 866-90Nation to learn more about Window Nation's Buy 4 Windows, Get 4 Windows free offer. Pay nothing till 2027. The offer is good now through April 30th. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, including if you would like to sponsor the program, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
20-year-old Juan Soto in a spot to be a game changer here. He'll turn 21 on the 25th of October, completing his second year in the big leagues. Bases loaded, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hader the set, the kick, here it comes. Swing and a line drive, base hit right field. Taylor scores from third. Stevenson around third. The ball missed in right field. Rounding third, coming home is Rendon. He will score, but now caught in a rundown is Soto. He will be tagged out by Moustakas, but that's the third out. 3 runs, score on the play. A base hit to drive in 2 runs. An error on the right fielder, Grisham, allows the go-ahead run to score. And the Nationals are in front. It's Washington 4, Milwaukee 3.
At Strayer University, we help students like you go from, is it possible, to anything is possible by offering access to up to 10 no-cost gen ed courses, so you can reach your goals affordably and fast. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. No-cost gen eds provided by Strayer University affiliate Sophia. Eligibility rules apply. Connect with us for details. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.